Bill Gates is by far one of the richest, if not the richest, man in the world. And by far, many of the things that he owns, from cars to real estate, which we did a video about his mega mansion that you can see here, makes so many other rich and famous people seem pale in comparison. But in being able to afford as much as he does, and being able to pretty much do whatever he wants on a whim, it begs the question as to just how in the world he was able to accumulate that much money over the many decades that he's been in the tech business. Because it's one thing to maybe make a few million in a lifetime, but billions? Now that seems a bit far-fetched. Well, stick around, because in this damn good video of ours, we're going to be looking into just how Bill Gates was able to build his tech empire and make a whopping $130 billion net worth over his 50-plus years at Microsoft. A nerd like no other. Before Bill became the billionaire that we know today, we gotta look back where he came from, and how he started in the world of tech, and how he began pursuing the world of business and computers and coding. Bill was born in Seattle, Washington on October 28, 1955, to William H. Gates Sr., who was an all-rounder in the world of law, business, and philanthropy, and Mary Maxwell Gates, who was a businesswoman, civic activist, and school teacher. So already, Bill was off to a very well-off start in the world with the background that he came from with his parents. While in high school at Lakeside Prep, Bill would learn to write his first computer software program and even took an interest in programming the school's GE computer system in BASIC, the code used for those computers, where he was excused from math classes to pursue his interest. From there, Gates would end up taking in more knowledge on other coding programs at the computer club, where he got to teach himself how to write in Fortran, Lisp, and machine language. He got so good at coding all the computers in the school that he was even tasked by the end of his junior year. He was automating the school's class scheduling system in return for computer time to get out of class and get his first type of an internship. It was here that Gates met his future business partner, Paul Allen, and the two of them took full advantage of the computer terminal at Lakeside by making some money for their efforts by creating a computerized traffic analysis system called TrafoData, which netted them $20,000 after selling it to the Washington State Highway Department. After getting their first taste of seeing how they could finally profit off of their computer skills, both Gates and Allen decided to bust open the doors wide and start taking their computer skills more seriously, so as to be able to turn into a full-time business. Microsoft takes off. Their big chance came when Gates was at Harvard Law School and Allen at Washington State University. After reading an issue of Popular Electronics with the new Altair 8800 microcomputer on the cover, Gates knew that personal computing was set to take off, and he wanted to write the software that powered these personal computers, since owning the code to the machines meant practically owning the computer itself. Gates reportedly called MITS, the maker of the Altair 8800, from his dorm room and offered to create software for it, which was an instant yes from MITS, as they readily accepted and adopted the basic software program that both Gates and Allen worked on while in school. By 1975, the pair sold the software as the programming language BASIC to MITS for $3,000 plus royalties. Desiring to be closer to the headquarters of MITS, Allen eventually moved to Albuquerque and Gates dropped out of Harvard to found their company Microsoft on April 4, 1975. By the end of 1976, MITS was reported to have a total revenue $16,000, which is nearly $72,000 today. Not bad for a startup company. Also, just as a fun fact for those that might not know, Allen was the one that came up with the original name of Microsoft, which is a mashup of microcomputer and software, hyphenated in its early incarnations. On November 26, 1976, the company was registered under that name with the Secretary of State of New Mexico, and the company's first international office was founded on November 1, 1978 in Japan, entitled ASCII Microsoft. With Microsoft retaining the rights to the basic programming language and were able to sell it to other personal computer hardware makers, the company grew rapidly, and by 1978, their annual revenue topped $1 million, which would be $5 million in today's money. By the time November 29, 1978 rolled around, the term Microsoft was first used by Bill Gates publicly to call their company, and on January 1, 1979, the company moved from Albuquerque to a new home in Bellevue, Washington, since it was hard to recruit top programmers to Albuquerque, seeing as how the whole "hey, come pack up your whole life and move to the desert" wasn't exactly the most appealing thing in the world. Now, with a ton of money to play with and invest in the software that he and Allen put up, they began to acquire a team and work on expanding outward to the public more, which wasn't hard and became the catalyst for Gates to start making some serious bank. Bill's business blows up. By 1980, Gates struck a deal with IBM to develop the software for their personal computers, in the same way that Gates had done for MITS and BASIC. The company created the operating system for IBM's PC after buying it from another company and tweaking it, but retained the licensing rights to the software, making this merger one of the biggest power moves that would truly start to set Gates' career and net worth in motion. When the IBM PC launched in 1981, Microsoft annual revenues skyrocketed to $16 million, or about $73 million in today's money. And by the time numerous IBM PC imitators came out, Microsoft had licensed its software to 50 hardware manufacturers, such as when Bill had the first operating system publicly released by the company, being a variant of their Unix UI announced on August 25, 1980, which got acquired from AT&T through a distribution license. Later on, Microsoft dubbed it Xenix and hired Santa Cruz Operation in order to adapt the operating system to several platforms. This Unix variant would become home to the first version of Microsoft's word processor, Microsoft Word. With as much behind-the-scenes work as Bill and his team had going on, the Microsoft company finally got to a point where they had decided it was time to bring the world of the computer systems to the everyday folks like you and I, which had his already skyrocketing profits go from amazing to downright astronomical. Microsoft goes public. In 1985, Microsoft revenues were north of $140 million, and they moved to their current world headquarters of Redmond, Washington. In 1986, Microsoft went public and ended its first day at $28 per share, with Bill Gates owning 11.1 million shares, and that is estimated to be worth $310 million. Microsoft continued to grow through the software distribution of both the Windows operation system and Microsoft Office, to where in 1995, Bill Gates became the richest man in the world with a net worth of $12.9 billion. But the profit growth didn't even stop there. From 2000 onward till today, Gates has continued to grow his wealth through investing, and in fact, his net worth has nearly doubled over the past 20 years, from $60 billion in 2000 to more than $134 billion in 2022. Interestingly, Gates' investments have been managed by Michael Larson at Cascade Investment LLC since 1994, where Larson has helped him earn a compound 11% annual return since 1995. In addition to this, Gates, or by extension Microsoft, has had his hands in just about every type of conceivable avenue of tech, from video games with the Xbox consoles and respective game studios, to even getting into the cell phone market at one point with the failed Lumia series of phones. Other investments that Bill has made have been in some lesser-known areas, but albeit big companies such as Caterpillar, yes, the ones that make forklifts and bulldozers, Walmart, the Canadian National Railway, and Waste Management, the trash company, to just name a few. And even among these companies alone, he owns enough shares that total north of $16.7 billion. Beyond investing and buying out companies, Gates, along with his wife Melinda, have been putting their money towards giving back to the world with tons of charity work through their Bill and Melinda Gates Fund that helps impoverished countries get much-needed supplies such as food, water, education, and medical supplies. Not to mention that he's been heavily investing into the realm of alternate energy with things like new ways to have much more efficient solar panels and wind generators, so as to help cut down, if not eliminate, many of the harmful damages that has happened with greenhouse gases and the destruction of our planet. So there you guys have it. That is exactly how Bill Gates ended up garnishing his massive amounts of wealth and got to be the billionaire that he is. Was there anything about how he built his way up that might have surprised you? Do you believe there are some other ways he could have invested his money to become even more rich than he is? And what kind of investments do you think that he should be making next? Also, check out our other video that we made on how he spends his billions with the various properties that he owns, as well as his mega mansion that is really a sight to be seen. We hope that you have enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please consider giving us a big thumbs up, smashing that subscribe button for more content just like this, as well as dinging that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more content updates from us. Until next time, folks, we'll see you around.